Oh my, it's Kelly White.
Hey, it's James and Kellee.
What are you up to?
Thinking about changing the world.
Me too. We should do a show together.
What would it be about?
Let me show you.
The James and Kellee Show. Hi, everybody. Hi, James.
Hello, Kelly.
Hi. Happy Halloween, almost.
You.
Well, that's because
that way with the veil over your head.
that's because I am Madame Gigi.
Gigi.
I'm Madame Gigi.
Because we're at a seance tonight, I thought I'd be the flame. Since we have no candles, I'd be the candle flame. So
Yay.
I'm the flame.
And I'm the Madame Gigi.
Madame Gigi. And we have pumpkins.
And Renee's all dressed up too.
And Renee, show us yourself, Renee. What are you dressed up like?
It's a great one. Everybody's loving this.
Is there a name to what you're dressed like or dressed as?
No.
Just a participant in the seance. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You look great. You wear lipstick
everyone.
and you wear
Have a great show.
Very, very pretty, Renee. Wow. Renee went fully out.
Fully out. How fun is this?
I thought we needed a candle for the seance, so I thought it'd be the candle.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Happy Halloween, Kelly.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So, should we talk about a little?
Like a whole hour. Don't worry. No,
Yeah, we could do that.
It's hot, actually. So you want to talk a little bit about the planets because, again, it's been a lot easier than last week. It feels like definitely things went direct. It feels a little lighter.
Yes, it is
But
a
not
little
out of the
lighter.
woods.
We're not out of the woods. No, we're not. Definitely not out of the woods. We have a couple of aspects that I think are worth talking about. On October 26th, so that's tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow, Venus in Sagittarius. So Venus is the planet of love.
I love that.
And Sagittarius is speaking your mind, right?
Foot and mouth disease.
Foot and mouth disease. Well, it's squaring the dreamy planet of Neptune in its own house of Pisces. So let me explain what that means.
It sounds muddy.
When you meet somebody and you're in a relationship and you project all your crap onto them, you project they're the perfect one, they're the this one. When it squares Neptune, those dreams kind of shatter, and you might really be looking at the myth. The myth kind of shatters.
You've killed my flame, Kelly.
Sorry about that.
Really? So that's interesting. So if you're in a relationship right now.
Yeah. The myth, the veil comes off, you see who the person is. And it's a good thing, really, if you think about it. In relationships, tomorrow is going to be an important day for relationships. Okay. And then on Saturday, October 30th, this is a big one. So we have the sun in Libra. The sun's in Libra. So think relationships, think, values, balances. Beauty.
Kelly, excuse me, has it been in Libra? The sun has been in Libra.
Yes. It started on the 23rd of October.
I'm sorry, what goes into Libra?
It's squaring Saturn.
Or square Saturn
on Saturday. And the Saturn is in Aquarius. So on Saturday, when the sun squares Saturn is restriction and responsibility. And when the sun is squaring it head on, it's really going to be a test of your character. So it's going to, enlighten with the flame, light up anything like you might be feeling really tense from responsibility and restriction, and you're going to feel it on Saturday. So it might, normally you think it's Saturday night, we're going to go out and have so much fun. There'll be a real tension of responsibility that day. It's a big day, actually. So those are the 2 days, tomorrow and Saturday. Really watch your, tempers and all kinds of things.
You mentioned last week about the Wednesday, which we had that full moon in Aries.
Yes.
And last Wednesday because impulsive and people, and that happens. Someone very impulsive the night before. I told you about that, and it was very much that. It was very much someone who said to me later, "I'm sorry," but they
Yeah.
were impulsive with what they said.
Well, and I have
Full moon in Aries,
and the very next day, I think it was the next day when there was that Alec Baldwin shooting, the accidental thing on
yes,
that.
and he's
That
an
which was
Aries, by the way.
oh, there you go. I mean, I
A
just my
nice
heart
man. I've met
such
him
a
at cigars with man. He's a nice man.
oh yeah. I mean,
That
my
should
heart
never have happened.
never have happened. My heart just bleeds for him and
Yeah,
in the family. Just
it's just
unbelievable. Yeah, but it's interesting, odd things happening, right?
yeah, it's really weird because I come from Universal and the sets from Ghost Whisperer, and I don't know how that gun got on set. I'm only thinking because he was a producer that it was a lower budget than usual.
Yeah.
I think that's really what happened. But
Yeah.
he's gonna be that's that good.
Yeah. It's yeah, they'll get to the bottom of it, but what a awful
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah,
Mm.
let's send him light. Let's send him for the man
Lots
light.
of love.
He's a
Lots of
nice,
love.
he's a really nice person. Sometimes he acts like the Aries, but he actually is a really great heart. I did a reading for him once, and I met him. He's a nice guy. I
Mhm.
almost did. I actually was interviewing him for Talking to Heaven, to the part that went to Ted Danson that played me in my bio.
Wow.
Alec Baldwin was also up for it, and that was
Wow.
when I met him. I met him when he said, "Come to my cigar bar." We did. We hung out the whole evening, and he was really, really nice, and he was on some other thing. He said, I would have done it, but I'm on in the picture." So, but he was very
Wow.
nice person. And
Oh,
in Hollywood, you have impressions of people. I know it's like when you only meet them once or twice, but
yeah.
an impression. And yeah, he was a nice man.
Mm.
Typical
Wow.
Aries, by the way, typical Aries.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. But and a lot of love to the family too.
A lot of love to the family and the
Yeah.
poor lady that lost.
Yeah. What a
Yeah,
experience.
tonight
But
we're talking about seances. So people I want to
yes.
first of all say to people seances because people have a certain idea about seances, what they are and what they're, and we're going to demystify it with our flame and our veil and our pumpkins, because a
Yes.
lot of people have misnomers about seances because of television and movies, which is
Hmm.
fine, but that's really not where it's the truth. So we're going to go back and give some facts and details about seances. Kelly?
Great. Great. A seance, what it means, the word seance in French means session. To have a spirit session is what the word means. And it's where a medium brings together messages from spirits.
Okay. Okay, and originally it started with people know and maybe have heard about the Fox sisters. I do a lot of work with Janet Havoc, a lot of benefits with Janet Havoc, and she is incredible medium in New Jersey. Works with the Journey Within Church, and we do benefits because she has the original Fox sisters. I'll explain who they were. The Fox sisters, their schoolroom that they went to, and they're rebuilding it. They refurbished it, and it's going to be a historic monument. So she's been
Mhm.
raising funds for that. The Fox sisters, I'm going to read you this because I want to make sure I get everything right. Kate and Maggie Fox sisters, and there was many books written about them. Upstate New York, near Rochester or near Lilydale, but not quite. For years, the schoolroom was on the land of Lilydale, but that was since moved. One of the greatest religious movements of the 19th century began in the bedroom of two young girls living in a farmhouse, in Hydesville, New York. On a late March day in 1848, Margaretta, Maggie Fox, 14, and Kate, her 11-year-old sister, waylaid a neighbor, eager to share an odd and frightening phenomenon. Every night around bedtime, they said they heard a series of raps in the walls and furniture raps that seemed to manifest with a particular otherworldly intelligence.
Mhm.
The neighbor, skeptical, came to see for herself. Joining the girls in a small chamber they shared with their parents, while Maggie and Katie huddled together on their bed, their mother, Margaret, began the demonstration. And what happened is they would do kind of a tapping. So one would be yes, and two, no. And that's how they developed communication. And they found out through that communication that it was a salesman who had died, but stayed, I believe he stayed in their basement, in their house at one time, and he had died and came back to tell them that. And afterwards, it was discovered his old bag they carried, his salesman bag, they found it in the basement. And from
Wow.
that began spiritualism, the belief in communication with spirits, seance, if you will, formerly known as a seance. And I'm just going to read you a couple of things here, but it's pretty interesting. Um, a lot of movies made fictionalized about different things. Dialogue of the Dead by George Lagodo, published in England in 1760. Then William Penn. Then it became religion, spiritualism, with
Mhm.
the Queen of Sweden was very into it. Uh, let's see, perhaps the best-known series of seances conducted at the same time were those of Mary Todd Lincoln,
Yeah.
who, grieving the loss of her son, organized spiritual seances in the White House, which were attended by her husband, President Abraham Lincoln, and other prominent members of society. The 1887 Sabre Commission report the credibility of spiritualism at the height of its popularity by pushing exposures of fraud and showmanship among secular seance leaders. So let's stop for a moment. But Mary Todd Lincoln, her day, that was when spiritualism had came out, and it was really big because of the Civil War. So you have a lot of people who want to contact their loved ones and pass over. And she lost, it was 2 sons. And she,
Yeah, 3 children.
right?
Mhm.
And she really wanted to hear from them.
Yeah.
And they had seances at least once a month in the White House.
Mm.
So spiritualism, lism meaning study of spirits. They used to all the time had a regular medium that would come there from New York, would
Wow.
come there and brought him through. And they were both very, very psychic. Mary Todd and Abraham, very, very, very psychic. And you know my story with Abraham Lincoln, but that's a whole other show.
But I thought that was so interesting that you had such a connection with him,
Uh,
and
so
in the
weird.
1800s, he was doing seances. I mean, it's so interesting that you would have that connection.
And I knew him. I think I was a soldier. I think I knew him
There
back
has to be a connection there with
Oh,
that.
I know I was in the Civil War because when I was 9 years old, on a Saturday morning, rest of the kids are watching cartoons and whatever. I'm having my cereal. I'm just doodling, and I still have this photo. I still have this picture that I drew when I was 9 years old. It's in my collection of JVP. Wait, maybe I have it on me. Hold on. And you'd never believe it because it's under, what is it, under keepsakes? Hold on. Let's see if I have it. If I have it, you're gonna freak out.
Okay.
Hold on. Let's see where it is. My filing. Hold on, I have it. Speaking of which, if I have it, I'll freak out. Okay. I have my keepsakes from my childhood.
Oh my gosh.
Not much of a childhood, so they're not my keepsakes. I'm joking. I have your 60th birthday cake card here. My diplomas. And if I have it, it's really worth.
Interesting. And this was something that you were doodling.
Well, you know what? It's not here, but it's in my. I have a collection of artwork that I did because I was going to be a commercial artist. Actually, I'm a repro card.
Wow.
Anyway, and I looked at it. I still have it in my closet back there. One day I'll show it. But I was 9 years old, and
Okay.
I took it out when I was in high school. I looked at it. I was like, wow, it's probably a 20-year-old soldier, my eyes and my mustache, and a Union hat. I was 9 years old. I didn't really know much about,
Wow.
I have that. I'll show you.
Wow.
But I knew Abraham Lincoln. Very, very big. And another time I'll tell you about my connection with Abraham Lincoln, which was just otherworldly.
Right.
But he's been a big part of my time this time around too.
Right.
And he was very psychic. He used to astral travel quite a bit, and he actually saw his death scene. It was a dream, but he said later on it wasn't really a dream. He was shown himself lying in state. I think it was Capitol, and he walked up to the military man supposedly and asked what it was. He said, "The president is here," and he knew that he knew he was going to pass.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah.
And
So out of seances began with that religious movement called spiritualism, where there's a belief of communicating with the spirit world. And there were some incredible mediums in their day. And Kelly and I talked earlier, we're going to do a whole show on spirit photography because that also became very popular at that time. I have some great books on it. I've studied it. But there were also some very excellent mediums that came out of that, and religious movements. The suffragettes were big at that time as well.
Mhm.
So you have a lot of organized organizations about spirituality. I just want to read a couple of things here, Kelly. In the religion of spiritualism, the religion of divine metaphysics, there was a religion called divine metaphysics, by the way, a federally
Wow.
recognized religious branch out of spiritualism in the United States. It's generally part of services to communicate with living personalities in the spirit world. Usually, this is the only seance by outsiders. The preferred term for spiritualists is receiving messages. Okay. And these occasions, which generally take place in a well-lit spiritualist church or outdoor spiritualist camp. So in those days, the spiritualist camp started because in the cities they were frowning upon. It was kind of a fringe movement, but that's where let's see,
Like Lilydale or
Lilydale up in upstate New York near Buffalo, Casadega in Florida,
Ah,
a place in Indiana. They started these camps, and the suffragettes right down the street from Lilydale. And it really was set up with mediums. It was a town of mediums. And really up to lately, Lilydale was the most well-known camp of its time with mediums there. And I was fortunate enough to be doing demonstrations at Liddell when there were still mediums that lived there, and now there aren't a lot of talented mediums there. It's very mediocre, if that, unfortunately, because it
Mm.
became very political. So it's too bad because that what a irresponsible thing to do, just to spirit. But anyway, that's what all started. And in those days, 1920s, Houdini started in the 1920s,
Mhm.
30s to debunk mediumship, and the whole thing about him debunking these mediums. This lady Marge, the medium Marge, up in Boston,
Wow.
and she was a great medium. But he tried debunking her.
Didn't his
I
wife,
know.
after he died, do seances for like
She
10
did
years?
every Halloween. Every Halloween, they had an agreement that they would. This is weird. They would have a he would have he would come through to her, and they'd have a seance every Halloween. She would have a seance every Halloween, and many times it was in Hollywood at the top of the Roosevelt Hotel. But there was a saying that he said that she would know it was him. Now, interesting story. A friend of mine for a long time in Ohio, Jordy's friend Jim, who
Okay.
collects all these weird, strange
Yeah.
objects, right? He, I can't even go to the story because I don't know how he gets his objects, but he went and got this object, which was Houdini. It was a little statue of Houdini. And Jim got it home, and one day he's undoing the foot of it, the screws, and supposedly, the words of the term that was supposed to come through was Roosevelt lives. That was the term that if he used that, she knows it's him. Out of that little statue he was unwinding, a slip of paper, it came out and said Roosevelt lives.
Oh
Out of its
my
wings.
God.
Yeah.
And
That's
and you're telling me it was at the Roosevelt Hotel too
the
in
Roosevelt Hotel.
Hollywood? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yes, I just didn't put that together. You're right. You're right.
Wow.
Yeah. And I did a pilot, TV pilot with Jim. He did such amazing, interesting objects. That was one of the ones he had. But every object has a story about him.
Wow.
Um, Also, people talk about channeling. Well, in a traditional seance, you can have what 5 to 10 to 20 people all around, 12 people. And what did you find out, Kelly? Because I know you looked up some stuff about
Yeah, that you can have about 10, anywhere 8 to 10 to 12 people around a room. And then there's one person that runs it, like a
Mhm.
medium that runs
That's
it.
right. That's right.
And I think everybody is sitting there, pulling in their energy. And
Yeah, and supposedly, well, I don't know where it came from, but sit in the dark with candles,
yeah.
of course. And I've been there. I've done all this. I'll tell you about my time. And you hold hands because if you hold hands, you're exchanging energy, which is very true. You're building the energy,
Okay.
you're building the power, as we call it. You build the
Okay.
power for spirit to come through, and that's why you hold the hands to build the power the spirit can use.
Oh,
And really, the dark is because supposedly the regular light we have in the spectrum will hurt it's harder for the medium. I'm not sure about that. Now the medium supposedly goes into, well, I know when I work, and Kelly, you and you work,
mhm,
you go into a slight state, different state of consciousness. Supposedly, again, back and forth, the seances, people know that mediums will fall into a trance. Usually, they just fall right into a trance, go down into an altered state of consciousness. Everybody knows that. Not always true. But some of the best seances, great sense, was when the medium was
mm,
entranced.
wow.
I've been to seance with medium been entranced. It's pretty amazing. I myself have been entranced. Not that I wanted to when I first started developing. Golden Feather, my American Indian guide, would come through and speak amazing this dialect and play the table and it sounded like a tom tom and a silver cassette player. And another mediums I know where they can walk around the room and in that trance state. Uh,
Wow.
yeah,
And so the medium goes into a trance state and then begins giving messages to everybody in the room?
that's right. And Gordon Higginson, Bishop Gordon Higginson was one of the best trance mediums ever to live. You can look him up. And he worked a lot with the Arthur Finley College. Gordon Higginson, amazing. You can watch him on YouTube go into a trance. He's amazing.
Wow.
And he's the one that stands up and walks around. So they're in an altered state of consciousness. So what's really going on, they're giving messages. Now, if they're in that state of consciousness, and what people believe, even from the movie Ghost, which is playing, if you're in a trance state, supposedly, and it does happen, if you're in a good trance medium, the voice of the spirit comes through and you will recognize the voice of your loved one coming through. That's really what we know as a seance. So it has to be a very good trance medium to do that. Unfortunately, there have been a lot of phonies around, and I don't find maybe a couple I've met who are good trance mediums. But I don't know enough. I'm so cynical.
Yeah.
Skeptical. I did once go to a seance, the last
Okay.
seance I went to, and it was by the Skull Mediums, the Skull Experimental Medium Group from Skull, England, and they were pretty amazing in that
What was
it was.
that like?
Oh my God, Kelly! It was an amazing experience. One of the most amazing experiences of my life, I will say. It was at in the garage of my teacher, Brian Hurst, and he was living at the time in Reseda, California. And it was probably in August, very
Oof,
hot.
hot. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were there for a week doing seances. And they traveled all over the world, did that. And they said for a long time of development before they would do this, because the spirit people said it's going to be a different type of communication coming through, nothing you've seen before. And I heard that, and I'm so skeptical. I can't help it. I'm just this way. I'm Capricorn, Virgo, Capricorn. So before the meeting started, I went to the garage and looked under every single chair for tape for anything. There was a table with crystals on it, all lined up. There were wind chimes in the air. I'm just looking for strings or anything possible. Didn't see a thing. And I didn't tell anybody I was doing that. I snuck off. So the seance began, and it was in the dark. And in the garage, it was hot. You can have 10 people. My friend Marilyn was next to me. My sister Lynn was on the other side of me. And Lynn said to me, and we talked about this last week, she said, is anybody going to get sick at these things? Because I feel someone's going to get sick. I said, no one's going to get sick, Lynn. Just relax. I don't be sick. Sure enough, Marilyn threw up in the middle of it. That's all.
Marilyn?
Marilyn was so overcome with the energy and
Oh
the
my
heat.
gosh. Yeah.
So we're sitting there. We don't have to hold hands, but the mediums had luminous tape around their wrists, and you could see the moves they had to. So you make sure nothing was, everything was on the up and up, no fraudulent activity. So I'm watching them, of course, and before you know it, in the air, little lights start, like I guess because spirit lights, and they're all on. And so, oh my goodness, look at the stars! Here they come! Oh, they're here! And they're all over the room. I'm like, what the
Wow.
heck? And they're making smiles. And they come in front of me and they make this big smile. And one of the mediums who's conscious said, James, why don't you believe this is real?
Oh my
You of all
gosh.
people should believe this is real.
Wow.
Embarrassing. And you felt them touch your shoulder. You felt them blow your hair. You one of the most amazing experiences was the table with our late luminous tape was on the side of the table. It went up in the air, turned over,
Wow.
came down, and not one crystal was moved. And those crystals had no tape or anything.
Oh, I
The other
understand
thing
that.
really
That's amazing.
amazing. And the other thing that blew me away was when they played the wind chimes, one chime at a time. Now, if in the dark, it's impossible not to touch more than one wind chime. It was one at a time.
Wow.
That impressed me. That impressed me
Wow.
more than the smile. That would just impress me. So, Skull Mediumship Group, they're on YouTube. You can see them there. And you look them up. They're very, very, a lot of integrity. Robin Foy, a lot of integrity they have. So, yeah,
Wow. Wow.
one
Did
of
you
my.
get messages? Did they give you messages
I was
individually?
no, I was a recipient. There was so it was a different type of seance in that we wanted to see the manifestation happen. So it was a very
Ah,
different type of because there were seances where people would sit in the olden days when we had physical mediumship, which what we do is mental mediumship, but in
yeah.
physical mediumship, there's a substance called ectoplasm in the body of the mediums, and this ectoplasm is used by the spirit doctors, and they extract it from the medium's body. Really, all the sigils, but mostly it's in the medium's body.
Yeah.
Comes out of the ears, the nose, the mouth. And you've sat in development circles, Kelly. You felt this
Yeah.
feel like a fuzz come in. It's
Oh, yeah.
ectoplasm. So they could build that up to a point where they would create bodies,
Mm.
uh, physical bodies, people. And this is well known, well documented. And I've told this before. I've sat with Leslie Flint, probably the best medium,
Yes.
much well known in his day, where the spirit people would have an artificial voice box, larynx. They'd build it out of the ectoplasm of the medium of Leslie. And my mother came through him, and other
Wow.
people, Queen Victoria and Oscar Wilde, and you can hear those voices on the internet. And look up Leslie Flint, and you'll see Voices from Beyond, and it's pretty amazing. That was an amazing
Wow.
experience. I sat with him 4 times. I was lucky for, and
Wow.
once nothing happened. Once nothing happened at all, wasn't good. It's the energy.
Where was he located?
He's
In the United
located
States?
in London. He went to Brighton. He lived in Brighton, and he used to visit my teacher Brian Hurst in Hollywood.
Oh,
So Brian lived in Hollywood, and it's very, very interesting. When it was so interesting, I guess when Leslie was younger, another medium came up to him somewhere and said, "There's an actor, an actor from USA, who wants to come through you, and he's going to mean something to you. Remember that." And Irving Place is going to mean something. Now, a long story short, who you can hear his voice also, Rudolph Valentino came through once.
Oh my
And
god.
again, you can hear on YouTube, you hear the whole thing. And he has a horrible voice. And that's why he couldn't transfer over to talkies because he had a bad voice. But he was and the seance took place on Irving Place, right?
Wow.
With Paramount Studios, where he did a lot of his movies. But Brian lived in Irving Place, which is where the seances happened. And a lot
Wow.
of other things that occurred, a lot of other coincidences, if you
Oh,
will.
that's so amazing. Wow.
That's
Is
what
a good time to do a seance if somebody was going to do it? Would be on Halloween or the day after?
okay, well, so let's talk about seance to me is really
Mhm.
what you and I do all the time. We don't do
Right.
it formally sitting around a table holding hands.
Yeah,
We do seances every day in that we communicate with spirit.
that's right.
So
I was
so
wondering what the difference was.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a formality. That's really what it
yeah.
is. And we really rely on the energy of the sitter or the
Mhm.
recipient to build their energy, to clear
Yeah.
up their mind, to not restrict us and the spirit world
Yes.
by come on, bring them through. Just
Yeah.
open yourself up. That brings the energy up. That's like
Yeah.
holding hands. So that's what
Yes.
we do. Same thing. I did one. I did a famous, well, not famous, a seance down in Coronado Hotel a couple of
About
years
2 or
ago.
3 years ago, I remember that.
Years ago. I did the formal thing, sitting in a big chair, table, the
Yeah.
whole thing. I also did it, which is really, really funny, at the Winchester House.
Let's talk about that.
The Winchester House. That was a real seance per se. Mrs. Winchester came through,
Wow.
but she didn't come through in the seance. She came through when the tour guide was showing me the rooms, and I said, "Well, she's not. She's not here. She's not haunting the place. I'm sorry to tell you, but she's really not haunting the place. So, so it's going to hurt your sales. I'm sorry, but she came through to me and she said she liked how this person coordinated the rooms to make it look like her error. And she talked about a flag that they put up, and she said she had a flag just like that one, and they would find it at a certain place, and they found the flag.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, that was good. It was set at a table. They're beautiful. The architecture is perfect for it. And it was. I gave a message to every single person in that on that table. And there was about 25 people.
Wow.
Every single
What
person got
what was
something.
the energy like at the Winchester House?
I thought it was just fine.
Okay.
I found nothing disruptive at all.
Interesting.
Because there are steps that go nowhere,
Yeah.
and she was taught by the spirits you must keep on building rooms and hallways, and it was really for because her husband created the Winchester gun, part of that the gun, and to pay for penance, felt for the penance she had to build these
Wow.
rooms nowhere, the penance for the people
Mm.
that were killed for the Winchester guns.
Wow.
Interesting story.
So
Interesting story.
interesting. So interesting. Oh, Janet Graham says when she was younger, she saw through her medium teacher a trumpet during the seance spirit.
Oh,
So
sure.
let's talk about that.
Sure. So another way in a seance that is used, another way besides the materialization, is they will materialize hands. They will materialize toys, kids' toys. Throw them around the room. People feel them, say touch them. They materialize these things. They materialize a lot. I was in Brazil at a book signing, and the mediums are everywhere there. I mean, it's known.
Yeah.
It's a spiritism is a religion in there, which is it's really a combination of Catholicism and spiritualism called spiritism, from Allan Kardec. But everyone's a medium. So I was at a book signing in Brazil, outside of Rio, and I'm signing a book, and this man says to me, "My friend has something for you." And the friend goes like this, opens up his mouth, and a flower comes out.
Oh
And
my
I'm like,
God.
I'm not going to touch that. I hope you
Right.
know. I appreciate it. And he was being very kind, I'm sure. And
Right.
I'm sure it could have been legitimate. I don't know, but that was interesting. Yes, they can materialize things. And one of the things with the spirit hands is they'll use a trumpet, which I have, I think, in my garage. Just love it. A trumpet cylinder, kind of cone, like a witch's hat.
Mm.
So the witch's hat is a created like cone because the energy is more concentrated in the tip. For the That's
Interesting.
why it's created that way. That's why the shape is that way.
Oh,
So the energy in the crown chakra is concentrated to help with the
ah,
communication. To help with communication. So,
interesting.
what they do and amplify that
Right.
down to here. So the trumpet's the other way where they speak through the small part and it goes louder, and they can send their thoughts through it. Or I don't know how they actually do it with the trumpet because I'm not sure. I don't know, but they
Wow.
use trumpet sense, and you hear the trumpet going all around.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and you can find a lot of this on the internet. They do have legitimate ones there.
Wow. Beth Johnson has a good question. She says, can one person hold a seance or do you need more to help the energy?
You need more to help the energy. You
Okay.
can't do it yourself.
Yeah.
You need the energy to build up. They need the energy to work. They can't just with you. They need the energy to pull from that energy to
Yeah.
build that up. In other words, it's like going to. When someone was telling me this, I like the analogy. It's like us going to sit at the bottom of an 8-foot pool, sit down on the end of the bottom of the pool, and have a conversation. You can't do that because it's not your
Right.
natural environment. So you go back to the top to get air. Same with
Right.
them. They need a lot of power and energy to stay on this dense vibration, if you will.
Yeah, so true. People were asking me about Ouija boards,
I was just going to talking boards right in my hand, right
talking
here.
boards.
Yes, and you found out something about that.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting. They were trying to come up with a name for Ouija board, and they couldn't come up with one. So, anyways, they brought in a medium, and the medium kind of channeled and said, wants to be called Ouija. And they said, what does that mean? And she looked and she said, good luck. So, Ouija board actually means good luck.
Yeah, but I also think it meant from German. We is French,
They
ja. So
And ja
yes,
is yes in German,
yes,
and
yes.
they discounted that. I read that, and they said, "No, it actually came from a medium." Isn't that interesting? And it was invented in 1891.
And
A
I have
long
different information. Yeah, I have a little bit more extra information
Tell
about
me.
it too, which is really interesting because you can make your own Ouija board, by the way.
Yes.
So what you do is, yeah, I've done that. You've done that. Where you
Mhm.
take paper, if you will,
Yeah.
long paper or butcher paper. We would call that, Kelly. You're the
Yeah.
chef.
Yeah, butcher paper.
Right? You write the letters down. You take a glass and you put your hands in the glass and it moves.
Yep.
That's what we used to do as kids. Also, talking boards, flat tables, it's typically made of wood, masonite, clipboard, or plastic.
Yeah.
On the board, a number of symbols, pictures, letters, numbers, and words. The board is accompanied by a planchette, French word
Yes.
for little board, and which can take the form of a pointer or 3 legs, magnifying glass. I never could read the magnifying glass, and it spells out the information.
Right.
The board is used as follows. One or more participants in the seance place 1 or 2 fingers on the planchette, which is the middle of the board. The pointed medium asks the question. Anyone can do that. Ouija board. You've done the Ouija board a lot.
I had when I was younger.
Okay,
When
so
I
I
was
did.
younger.
I did a lot and did development. I started with the Ouija board, and it is a great tool. I was talking about today in my show today. It's a divination tool. It's
Yes.
divination. It's the same as crystals. It's the same as scrying water. It's how you use. It's everything. It's how
Right.
you use it. If you use it good, it's good. Unfortunately, movies, television
Yeah.
has a bad
Got a
connotation.
bad rap. Yeah.
Bad rap. I learned some of the best stuff on my Ouija board, and some of the most incredible um, um, psychic information that things that would happen in the future predictions came all true. I'll tell
Wow.
you some of them, and I've written them all down too. Oh, well, hold on, I might have them.
Okay.
We have a thing called yes, I do. I'll go
Well,
later.
while you're looking for that, I can tell you when I was young
Okay,
and my mother came out and in the 60s and she bought me one. And I lived in Toluca Lake, California, which was a real, I'm sure it still is, Catholic area. And so
okay,
I couldn't get anybody to do the Ouija board with me. So I put my hands on the planchette and it just took off.
yeah.
Now, in psychology, we would say it's your unconscious coming out. Your unconscious is,
Oh, sure.
making this move, but that's not accurate. I actually saw mine move off. I almost couldn't control it. There was so much energy coming through that board, and it was just me. So I know that spirit, comes through that. Some of the questions that I've had regarding that is, do you get lower energy, lower spirits, would you say, with a Ouija board?
I can't find mine, but I'll tell you the predictions in a second. It's the same as anything. It's the same as us doing readings. And if we do
Yeah.
readings, we're drunk or down,
Right.
or we're going to bring that negative energy, lower energy. So it's
Right.
like attracts like. So if
Right.
you're going to go into something, and it's not a game, Ouija board is not a
It's
game, and
not a
that's
game.
really bad that they make it a game. It's not a
Mhm.
game. It's to be done responsibly.
Yeah.
Responsibly. It's a way to. It's a communication device, basically.
Mhm.
So, and if it's used in the right way, it can be a great tool, great guide. It helped definitely enhance my psychic ability. Some of the things that came through, one of my guides is called Angel Love. Beautiful. I've had different guides then. I had people come through, famous directors come through. I don't know. I have it written down somewhere, Toffs. We'll do a show once with our files. So getting from the
Okay,
files.
James
Oh, the
Files.
files up. We'll do a show of the files
Okay.
up. But one of the things they said was make a beautiful house. You will be. Now, this is way before I got started development. Said you will be in the news one day. You will make yourself known around the world.
Wow.
You will travel over water. you're going to have a good life with books. What are
And
some
this
other
was all from the Ouija board.
welcome Ouija board. You will
Wow.
make it a beautiful house. And then it said, and I look around my property now. You've been to my house, and I made
Oh,
it a beautiful house.
spectacular.
And I hear that all the time. You made it, and I because they can. There's no time where they are, so they can see the
Right.
future. You see, and
Right.
I remember they said to me, "Keep your integrity, your honesty, and you'll go far." And I have, and I've done that.
Wow.
And again, we will always take care of you. You do the right thing. We will always be here for you.
Was this when you were
And,
beginning mediumship?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
It was when it's just literally, I went to see Brian Hurst. My friend Carol brought me to see this medium in Manhattan Beach. I didn't believe it all. I just moved here from New York,
So
and I didn't believe in any of it. I just a bunch of kooky crap. I thought land of fruit and nuts, great. I
right.
found the perfect person. And the second week, I think, well, maybe the third week I was here, and I went to a reading. She wanted to get a reading with the man Brian that everyone was talking about. And I said, she goes, "You want to go?" And I said, "I don't believe in this sort of thing." She goes, "Oh, would you go?" I said, "Okay, I'll go. I know what to expect." Went there, and the first thing he said was, looked at me, and goes, "You're a medium, and in 2 years' time, the spirit world's going to use you." I'm like,
It's
and everything he said made sense. Everything.
amazing.
He brought through names of people that my relatives I didn't know about. I'd ask about. He was very good. So he got me started reading as many books as I could,
Mm.
and then sitting in the development circle. And then at that time, I started the Ouija board with my friend Caroline. Amazing things came through, and I still have those notes. I'll find them one day.
Wow. Gail Jean says only messages come through for my highest good, only positive energies may stay. Yeah, I agree with that.
That's very, very true.
Yeah.
Another thing they used to do in seances in Lilydale and other camps, they do slate readings, slate messages.
What
And
is
then what they'd
that?
have, and one thing Lilydale does have, people don't know Lilydale is a mediumship camp. Again, the quality of mediumship, not great. So don't go there for mediumship. But you want to go for historically, they have an incredible library there. And they've kept all of their, a lot of the items from the late 1800s when they first started out. And they have slate boards. So slate boards are when kids used to schoolhouses, one room schoolhouses,
Yes.
a little chalk in the slate.
Sure.
What they would do is they'd have two slate boards and a piece of chalk in the middle. They put it in the seance room, and at the end of the seance, they'd open it up, and there'd be someone's signature, some saying, and a lot of it was it's true.
Wow.
They wouldn't hear it. They'd inspect them before they started, and at the end, they would all look at it. That was well known, and that's
That's
a great library they have, the museum over there in Lilydale. It's a pretty good one.
oh my gosh. And you said there's one in Florida too.
Casadega, not as good. No, well,
Okay.
it's not great. Another thing I want to talk about, which is really another great. Well, I did go to another séance in
Okay.
Australia, and there's a lovely medium in Australia I went to, and I went with Mavis Patilla and Jean.
Wait, was I with you?
Weren't
I
you?
was with you with
You were
Sunny.
with me,
I was
Sunny,
with you.
Sunny.
Okay. That was phenomenal. Let's talk
Sunny,
about that. Let's talk about the box.
Sunny's last name, Sunny,
Sunny,
Sturgis. I can't remember.
I'm sorry, I can't
I'm
remember at
sorry,
this moment.
Sunny. I can't remember. Brisbane. He's in Brisbane. Very
Mhm,
well-known medium, very good medium. And some mediums, a physical medium, I would say, will
mhm.
tend to contain the energy. Want to contain the energy. So what they can do if they don't have, is sit in a formal setting of say a room, they build what's called a cabinet or a closet,
Mhm.
and you sit there in a square cabinet. There's usually a curtain in front, and medium sits there and goes. That could be into a light trance. I've been to many with Tony as well in England, and you can many times see the spirit if they have a small light on in the room, be overshadowed by the spirit. And Sonny Burgess, Sonny
Sunny
Burgess,
Burgess, yeah.
incredible medium. We didn't know what to expect. We were there with our friend Mavis and Jean
And
and
yeah, and
and Marilyn,
Marilyn.
yeah,
Mhm,
Marilyn, another medium from
mhm.
Australia, Marilyn Wall. And Sonny went into an amazing trance state.
It was really extraordinary, and I think we were there
Right.
for 2 or 3 hours, James.
And an Irish person came through, wasn't it? Not
Mhm,
Irish, yeah, a child or something, an Irish.
mhm.
And someone else, and explained that someone was speaking through him, going down another step to him, down to him, and it was kind of a step way. Someone spoke to that person, and we couldn't see them, but that's how the communication he was explaining to us, which made a lot of sense. And he did mention about my father, and my father didn't come through.
Yes,
He said he was over there, and he said something about his passing, and it made total sense to me.
and I remember the room was as like ice. It
It
was
was
so
freezing.
cold.
Yes, that is another sign, by
Yeah.
the way. There's another sign of sense for me of a legitimate medium. Same thing with the skull mediumship group. The room
Yeah.
was
It
freezing
was
cold.
in Australia, and it was a warm, beautiful day, and it got like
Yes.
ice in there. And he said, "I want you to be, be prepared. It's going to get cold." I had no idea it was going to get that cold. And
Yes,
it was an extraordinary experience. We
that was
all put our
extraordinary.
energy into it. Remember, that was a big deal.
It was a big deal, and it really makes a big difference, Kelly, when the energy of the people are clean,
Yeah.
clean and
Oh, yeah.
pure, because
Yeah.
everybody there was clean and pure, and
Yeah.
no expectations. We just want to see,
No.
work with spirit, and it
And
was one of the best times. It was.
he was a lovely man. And he wrote a book on mediumship.
He did, and
Yeah.
Sonny Burgess, his name is everybody. You should look him up.
Mhm.
Sonny Burgess, very good. His wife is also in media, but I've never had a message from her. I had he should be on my website if he hasn't had to put back on there because he
Yeah.
should be. He's an incredible medium. When he gave me
Incredible
a reading over
medium.
the telephone, he gave me a reading that was testing from my website. He gave me, and this is not listed anywhere. He didn't know my aunt and uncle's
That's
nickname
right.
and their address where they lived in New York. And it's not
That's
listed,
right.
so he knew exactly what their address was.
Right.
And
Right.
such a humble man. So Sonny Burgess, his name is.
Yeah.
Um, okay.
Ginger Montez says, after a seance, have you ever had a spirit attach itself to you or someone else in the room and it refused to leave?
I've never had that experience. People talk a lot about it, and you be very, very careful about the human mind because it can create a
Yeah.
lot of phobias and fears, and movies and TV create all that
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not. I always believe if you're a good, loving being, they can't be in that vibration
Yeah.
anyway.
That's
So
never happened. I've been doing readings for years.
never.
Nope.
Why would they want to be here when they can be in a beautiful space? I don't understand. I'm sorry, Kelly. I have to go backwards. I found something. A copy of the Skull Experiment with Physical Mediumship, Robin Foy. May I read this?
Yeah, please.
Robin and Sandra Foy both have 45 years intense experience of personally developing, witnessing, and/or being intimately associated with physical mediumship. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to read part of it. They would like to share their unique knowledge and expertise with other dedicated groups. Okay, they go on here. Okay, you should. Robin Foy is also the co-founder of the Institute of Spiritual Mediums Home Circle Link in the 1980s, which is what I was at, and the personal founder of Noah's Ark Society, which is about physical mediumship, and that's on the internet. He remained the chairman until 1994. In 1992, he was the co-founder of Skull Experimental Group and later New Spirits Foundation. The pioneering group demonstrated spectacular physical phenomena to the public. Very true. And to scientific investigators who were senior members of SPR, Society of Psychical Research, very big, from the 1930s on.
Ah,
In the UK, Ibiza, Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, Iceland, as well as California, USA, which I was part of that. So, pretty amazing.
interesting.
And there are times in seances you will get, like we often do, smells, perfumes, aftershave, tobacco that they would smell.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll feel them brushing up against you for sure, if they're good
And
sense.
you'll get lights that could go on suddenly, or you'll get, cold air that will breeze right through, or you'll get a flash of something, or orbs will show up, or
And interesting, this is very, very interesting because it's always been, and I know from, because I'm very into like finding out the people that are the phony ones because it's not good because it's irresponsible to everyone.
ugh,
It's bad for everyone. And there are
totally.
some people that say they're physical mediums, but I don't know any really good physical mediums these days. I just don't know any. There might be some, but there was a man in Australia they found out was not right. He was just going around doing seances, and for a physical medium, they have to develop quite a long time to develop that power and that energy. So I don't know. It's a very hard thing to do. So there could be some out there. I don't know of any physical
My
mediums.
grandfather was an
Oh, tell me about your
extraordinary.
grandfather, please, Kelly.
My
Hello, that's what
grandfather
we're here for.
was known as a table tipper, which I didn't know what that
Tell
was,
people
and
about that.
he was a table tipper. So he would have a seance, and his seances always had 13. 13 was his number. He always had 13. Now he had 12 brothers and sisters, so they would all show up, or somebody else would be invited to the Sunday morning is when they would do it. And it was funny. He would always do it in the morning. In fact, my mother thought it was just a normal thing. Every Sunday morning they would come and he would say table. He had to be around this big table. He'd say table, dance, and he would da, 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 like this, and the table would lift up and start hopping and would answer questions. And so people he was known from all over, they would come, and they didn't have phones in those days. So when there was a message that needed to, they needed a message, or it would table dance. Shh. I didn't know any of this, and then I had a situation with energy later, years later, and found out about my grandfather. So as a physical medium.
And also, you're related to Edgar Allan Poe, is one of my favorite people.
Yeah, it was a distant cousin on my mother's
Cousin,
side. Yes. My
who
mother
was also a good
loved
spiritual
Edgar
being.
Allan Poe.
And that was
Yeah.
the same time spiritualism started.
Right.
Yeah, it was interesting days in those days. I,
Yeah.
I, I also think people want to know if they know about seances or physical seances. There's always a red light, and why is that red light there? Why is it that red light?
Oh,
I would like to have seances where you can use regular light or just some kind of
yeah.
light to see if there's any fakery going on. But the way that originated, the red light, in those days, like you said, before radio and television, really people would just sit around and then have their dinner, their meal, their
Mhm.
supper, dinner, and then they would sit around at the end next to the fire, and they would have conversations
Oh.
after dinner. And that's what they used to do. And the embers of the fire created this red tone, and
Oh,
that's really where it started from.
it's interesting.
The red light started from
Huh.
yep, the tone of the ambers.
Oh, how interesting. Who knew?
Who knew?
Um,
And mediumship, we should say, even seances, which feeling probert about this, because of the pandemic and because of society that and the internet and everything is speeding up so quickly with technology.
yeah.
That mediumship is changing, of course, and it has to. It always has to because everything's
Mhm.
evolving. So Zoom calls, Kelly and I were doing Zoom readings all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's some positive for me. There's positives and negatives to
Mhm.
both. I miss the personal interaction with people. I
I
know.
miss sitting down and having a cup of tea with somebody, which is what I
Yeah,
used to love to do, and then kind of settling them into the energy. So now, how I settle everybody into the energy, I ask them where they're from, how'd they find me, and then just to settle in the energy, and then that energy, like goes like that. I mean, that fast it comes in.
yeah, so true. And yeah, I missed that part. I'm going backwards here. Sorry, going backwards. Just remember to say when you talk about the planchette, the Ouija board.
Yeah.
When I used to do the Ouija to this day, I no one can hold on to it. It goes so
That's what I'm
fast.
saying.
It goes
That's what
off
I
the
was
table.
saying. Oh, James, you and I one day should try this.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
that's gonna happen. That'd
So
be hilarious.
Brian, my partner, my ex partner Brian, and
Mhm.
myself, and our good friend Kelly Dennis, who's watching. Hi, Kelly.
Hi,
We had
Kelly.
is that friend of ours, a mutual friend, who collected old Ouija boards, talking boards, a lot of them. And it was a
Wow.
Sunday afternoon. It was in West Hollywood, and Brian had never done a Ouija board before, so he said, "Well, let's try it." So Kelly and myself and Brian and we were on the board, and Mary came through. So Mary's a common name, and Brian goes, "Well, Mary's my grandmother." Oh. And she
Oh.
said, "Your father has a good heart." And so it spelled out. And his father does have a good heart. His father was very sweet. He's one of the sweetest people I've met, the sweetest,
Mm.
kindest man. So he really had a good heart. Well, about 2 weeks later, Brian's we're together, and the phone rings, and it's Brian's mother in Banning, California, and she said, "I have got to bring your dad to the hospital. Something's not right." And Brian went up to Banning, and he was okay. He was monitored. His heart was racing, whatever, and calmed down. And the doctor took Brian out of the room away from his mother, and the man said, "We almost lost your dad there, but thank God he has a good heart."
Oh my God, Brian must have.
Literally, he had a good heart. She might say literally.
Okay,
Don't
my
make
God,
it like
literally.
like it. No, literally. A lot of messages are literal on the Ouija board. It's true.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Oh my God.
My
Um,
my sister Lynn used to when she was 14, and I was a young kid. I was probably about 7 or something, right? Her and her boyfriend Dennis used to do the Ouija board on the front steps,
mm.
and it said there that they were going to marry one day, and that he would be a detective. And sure enough, she got married when she was like 18, 19 years old, and later in his life, he became a detective. Right?
Oh my gosh,
Very
so
little.
interesting.
So,
Wow.
always prepare yourself before you do the Ouija board. Prepare yourself. Say a prayer. I
Right.
light a candle. I put water down there. I do a meditation. I raise, just like I do in any reading, raise the vibration to a higher level of frequency.
Oh,
That's what you have
absolutely.
to do. You get the
Absolutely.
most incredible messages that way. It's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. And you have to have patience when you do a Ouija board too. You've got to have patience. You've got to have a lot of positive energy, how it's going to go.
It's very, very true. I mean, it's so funny because, and I found that we do the Ouija board, and it's they want to say they love somebody, they go to that person, and it keeps on circling around and around just to say,
Right.
"I love you."
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Very,
Oh, I
very true.
forgot about that.
Yeah, I do it. Then it's funny. I used to with Brian. Brian used to be the steno. He used to keep notes because it would go so fast when I was with my friend Kelly. And really, the funny thing was we don't need to talk your board. I could just do it myself. So
Right,
I
right.
knew what the message was before they pointed it out. So yeah, I got it. This is what they're saying.
We don't need that. However, oh,
And
that's
then
really
once
funny.
my grandmother came, she says, "Get it right. You got it wrong. Make sure this is right."
Oh my gosh. So Ginger Montes asks, this is an interesting question. Do you think they will ever try to require licensing to all natural born mediums or psychics, even if they don't work in that field? I can't even fathom that, but I have no idea.
They did try it once, I believe in England. I think they tried. I might be wrong, but
Really?
I think they did. I think they did. I'd love the idea. I'd love to legitimize that in some way. I don't know how they would do it though.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I auditioned people for my level 3 mediumship. Yeah, I wish there was some kind of a degree or
Yeah.
licensing or something. I wish, don't you, Kelly? It would
Oh,
legitimize that.
please. I mean, we just
I
taught
really wish there.
a class on ethics recently. Yes. Ethics with mediumship.
Professor Gary Schwartz in the University of Arizona did a whole thing on mediums and studying mediums and their brain waves and so forth, which I didn't take part of. You know what I mean? I said,
Yeah. No, he's asked
because
me several times. I know.
yeah, if you do that, that means there's a question that it could be fake. And it's like, no, I'm not fake. So why would I do that? But I will say, I was in Arizona, Tucson, Arizona, once doing a demonstration, and Gary was there and with his girlfriend at the time.
Mhm.
And at the end of the session, at the end of the 2-hour demonstration, he comes up to me and goes, "That was amazing, amazing." I said, "Yes, Gary, guys, can you come in the other room? We'll speak." He goes, "Do you realize you got 97% accuracy? You know how high that is at 97%."
Oh,
So he was
that's
actually doing
sweet.
research on me while I was demonstrating. I'm like,
I
"He
can
just
hear
had me
Gary
do
doing
what
that.
the I'm like, what?
That's so funny. I sat next to
He's,
him at a dinner party once, and that was
he's a scientist,
oh,
typical
he
scientist.
was hysterical. That's so true. Oh my gosh. Um, oh, people love your orange suit, James.
I my own shirt, my new readers.
Oh, good.
I like these colors. It's kind of wacko. I never see.
Oh, it's
Thank you. My
perfect.
fall, my autumn, pumpkin seance.
Oh.
And this Friday, I'm doing a seance.
Let's talk about this Friday.
So this Friday, I am doing a night of spirit messages, and it's going to be well, last time was pretty incredible. We had the spirit
Yes.
guides come through.
Yes.
So I know that they're working on something different. I know they are. They're not telling me yet what it is, but I know they're going to do something different. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure it's going to be the type of messages that come through. I'm not going to sure it's going to be. I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
know. I just looked myself up, and they said we're going to just try something new with you. Like, okay, I'm in. So that's Friday at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and right here, and it'll be an evening of spirit. So because the veil is so thin, it should
I
be
was just going to say that, James. The veil is so thin. Everybody should join this Friday night with James because it's going to be an extraordinary night of readings. And is everybody going to come in a costume?
well. I'd like them to. I mean, I'm gonna be a little bit cosmic. I can't see everybody, unfortunately. I can't see them, but because of the way the technology works, I can see the one I'm doing the reading for, but I don't see people. I
Right.
only see people. I get the information from the spirit world, and they give me the information, and I give it out to whoever it applies
Yeah.
to, and then that person comes on the screen. So yes, if
Yeah.
people wear costumes, I'm gonna wear my costume. What the heck? I
And
have my flame
I think you're also going to go fast with these readings too. Instead of
fast.
you're
It's
going
gonna
to
be.
do as
I
many
know.
as
I
you
know
can
it's gonna be
do.
fast. It's gonna be express readings. So it'll be fast. It's going to be fast, and it's going to be. I think they want to do more participation with the audience in that they use their energy more, how to use their energy more, which they've never done that before.
Well,
How to use the energy,
that would be amazing.
amplifying it.
So
They
does
want to
that mean
amplify the energy.
so before you begin, you'll start maybe you'll do I don't know, some sort of a meditation or something to
Yep,
amp the
yep,
energy up? Because
yep.
that's
It's
it,
going to be well. They're going to do
very
it. They're going to
powerful.
come through me. I'll channel that, and they'll bring the energy up because I know they want to. The word they gave was amplify. They want the audience to be amplified. Now that's an interesting way of putting it, isn't it, Kelly?
I love it. But
I've
it's so
never heard that
true
before,
because
and
when
it's
you're
so true.
working with spirit, when somebody is alive and they're right there with me, spirit just starts to come and it just that energy just quickens, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing about the seance thing, put your veil back on.
I
So
gotta
the
put
only thing
my
about seance is if you have your veil on, so that and which I think is a great look, but that look right there, right, and that's what people come to know as seance. It becomes this very maudlin type of the deceased and grieving and down and,
Mhm.
bleh, and so it's not like that. It's like you take that off, and it's a great veil,
It's
Kelly.
like this. I don't even wear black actually.
I've never
Never.
seen you talk about
That's what
what
everybody's saying here. I know. I never wear it, but I thought it was appropriate. I was going to be
it's
Ms.
great. Kelly,
Yeah.
I just got to say in front of everyone, I didn't know that you're such a farmer now. I'm
Oh
pushing
my
you to
God.
write your next book.
I'm such a farmer.
I saw you with a cattle. You have cattle.
Yeah, we have cows
How
and we
many heads
have a
of cattle do you
bull.
have?
hmm
How many heads of cattle? I think they're called that.
I'm really not sure. I think it's our
But
farmer.
Ellie, I'm really worried about you. You started naming the cows, Kelly. I heard you scream
I was
names. Like,
waving and I was saying I love you to all of my cows. Oh yeah, I'll
and
have
then
to
you have
post
blank
that.
names.
I'll post
Okay,
that on my
you
spiritual
should.
medium
I
Kelly
I
White
was
one.
shocked. I had
I
to
th-
get
right?
off the floor after I saw that
Oh my
video.
God.
That
No,
was like,
today I was out apple picking. I made apple cider over the weekend. Oh yeah. I mean, I am Lisa Davis. Oh no, what is her name? Lisa Douglas from the Green Acres. Goodbye City Life. That was me.
I was just watching Eddie Albert on Password. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. So that's perfect. Oh my God. And this Thursday, I have Tammy Hendricks is going to be on on my show this Thursday, and we're going to be talking about animals who've passed away and your connections. It's going to be a great show for Thursday
Right.
night
Oh, that's
too.
great. And they come through so well. Maybe she'll do a couple of messages.
Oh yeah.
I also want to just shout out to Laura Essig and other people here that are our regular callers, our regular
Yeah.
people, our attendees and participants, and also they come on my afternoon show, my morning show.
Yeah.
Uh, so I want to thank all of you guys for coming back and joining Kelly and myself because we really appreciate it, and we love seeing
Oh,
your names and
truly.
you really what you donated and participated in the questions you've asked. Insightful questions.
Yeah.
After one of the shows, Kelly, I was like, "Wow, these people know a lot." And
Oh my
thank
gosh.
you for keeping it real and moving it
Yeah.
ahead and helping them spread the word because we really appreciate all you regular guys being here. And anyone you
Yeah.
want to tell us, you know, about, we'd love to get out to the world somehow. That's how it changed.
Absolutely. Please,
That's how it
yeah,
changed.
please. Absolutely, James. I couldn't agree more. I love everybody's so sweet here and everybody's so, grateful, James, that we do this too, which is just
That's
wonderful.
necessary. It's necessary. And then
It is.
next time we're doing readings, aren't we?
Well,
Are we doing?
Monday we're
When are
going
we
to
doing
do
readings?
Day of the Dead.
Oh, David. Oh,
Day
that's
of the
okay.
Dead, how we transition.
Yes, how we transition. That'll be next week because
Hmm.
Halloween had been before that. So
Yeah.
Day of the Dead is a big holiday in Mexico, and we're going to
Mhm.
explore that. And yeah, we'll see what happens. So maybe
Yeah.
something interesting will happen.
Yeah. I mean, we'll be doing readings, but Friday night is your big night for readings, and
Friday's
that's a
a big reading night.
great
Yeah,
night for everybody. I think
yeah. And
everybody's going to.
next year, we're planning our next year already. And next year, I'll be doing every month. I'll be doing readings. I'll be doing We used to do from people on the Facebook suggested to me do 1 month of psychic readings, 1 month of mediumship readings, and that's
Yeah.
what we're going to do because people love that.
Oh God,
So
yes. I
we're
think
going to get
that's
to a
a
lot of people.
great idea.
Yeah, I also want to mention this morning on my show, I mentioned about divination was a theme. And there was a lovely lady who was a psychic, a very psychic, and she's on my website. And because, Kelly, will you tell them this morning? You called me up this morning. What'd you tell me?
Let's see. Remind me.
You had a meeting with Carolyn.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm so sorry. I blanked that out for a second. First of all, everybody should have a session with Carolyn Mamalo. Everybody. And Carolyn, if you're watching this, really, I love you. I bow to you. She was wonderful. In fact, I've already set up Shirley with a session with her.
Well, she was
She's
on
a,
our show about a month ago, and
mhm.
her sound wasn't that great, so we had to
Yeah,
call her
we
on the
had
phone.
some trouble,
And she
with the
said to me,
sound.
I need to talk to Kelly even more. And I guess
Yeah.
that was a follow up.
Oh, let me tell you what, gang. She gave me a reading. I walked out of here and Dawn goes, "Tell me all about it." And I'm like, "Oh my God, my head is spinning. You won't believe it. You won't believe." I mean, she said some things. I was floored at how she was so accurate with people who've passed and what's going on in my life now. I couldn't get over it. I was
And you know
floored.
what I love about her? I love one of the things that she does. One of the ways she delivers the information, because as she said, it just goes through me. It's not about
Yeah.
me. It's what I read the cards.
Yeah.
What the cards tell me. When she says something, there's a young man here that's ill. And I say, yeah, I don't know. Nope, there's a young man that's
Yeah.
ill. I say, are you a daughter? The daughter or the no? There's a young man. She's very strong and very much sticks to her guns. She knows what
She
she
did.
knows.
She knows what she knows. She said to me, "You're easy to read. These cards are flying out of my hands." Because there were a lot of messages that needed to come through, and boy,
Yeah.
is she spot on
And she's still
accurate.
mediumistic too. She'll do media. She'll talk to dead
Yeah.
people too when they need
Mhm.
to speak. The reason I brought her up too because people I know about at this time of year.
Yeah.
I'm a good psychic. She's the best psychic on my website.
Yeah.
She's on my website, and whenever she calls me up, she leaves a message. She goes, "Hello, it's the witch from the east calling the witch from the west."
Oh, I love it. So
She's
she's
great. I love her,
delightful. You guys will
and
love her. She's down to
she's very
earth.
little. She's old fashioned. You have to send her a
Yeah.
check if she's not technical.
Yeah.
So she's just great.
She's
Really love that.
wonderful. Oh my gosh. And so Friday night, don't forget, October 29th, this Friday night, an evening of spirit with James. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yep. So please, everyone, please join me. And Kelly, thank you very much. I
Oh,
appreciate being
so
there.
I love working with you.
I love working with you, and I light my flame
Got
to you, Kelly.
Oh, and I put my veil on if I can do it again. Okay, wait a minute. Don't before you go. Hold on a second. Hold on, everybody. Okay, now,
I
Madam
know, we
Gigi,
can't
here I
believe
am.
it.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Thanks, James.
Thanks,
Love you.
Renee. I love you.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
The James and Kellee Show.